All right, let me suggest this to you, as out of left field as it sounds, but I know this is where we're going. They're going to be reducing the amount of meat intake and the amount of dairy intake we're all going to be allowed to have in 20, 30, 40 years. As a matter of fact, let me paint a picture of America. Let me do this now. You backbenchers, get your pens out. Let me paint a picture of America for you in 30, 40, 50 years. A family of four is permitted to have one government-approved car. That's it. However, each family member can have a bicycle. You're allowed 2 visits to the dentist a year. 4 visits to the doctor. If you think it's an emergency, a local healthcare commissar has to approve for your treatment at one of the local clinics that will be run by HHS. You will not be able to go to a grocery store and buy whatever you want. You will be given by the government certain tickets, rationing tickets, that will allow you to have a certain amount of vegetables and fruits and grains and so forth. For your own health, of course. Keep the methane levels down. Family 4 will not be able to live in a home that is more than 2,200 square feet. Beyond that, you'll be taxed at 100%. No home can have more than 2 toilets to conserve water. The governors will be placed on the registers in your home, so at no time can your home be warmer than 66 or cooler than 64. And they will also be determining how much water you can use in your home, both drinking water and water for disposing, obviously, our body material. You will be allowed 1 mammal as a pet, period. You'll have to choose a dog or a cat and so forth, but that's it, given their propensity to have methane. Plus, they have to eat and all that production. We can't have all that global warming. There will be inspectors who will check out your medicine cabinets to make sure you only have government-approved medicines. No more, no less. To prevent a black market. Your children will be required to go to government schools. There will be no more private schools or parochial schools because there's just too much important stuff they have to learn in order to ensure a well-working society. So we cannot have competition with the government school system. So they'll just be outlawed. People who've gone to private school, there will be a transition period. They will have to go to adult education seminars. It'll be good for them. Be held in 2 languages, English and Spanish. Just to make sure they understand what's important to society generally and aren't selfish capitalist pigs going off in their own direction. As with the recent proposal by the equivalent of the IRS of the UK, your paychecks will go to the government will take its take, and then it'll send you the rest as it sees fit. Like the mob. Or like FDR. You know how they take money out of your paycheck before you get your paycheck? The withholding taxes? Well, they're going to withhold your paycheck, and then they'll decide what you get to keep. And by the way, certain people will be allowed to serve in high office. We cannot have the rabble. This whole Tea Party movement has demonstrated to us that the people are not responsible enough to send the right individuals to Washington. I mean, after all, look who they've nominated. Christine O'Donnell, and Sharon Angle, and Ken Buck, Marco Rubio, Rand Paul. You get the drift. Government and governing is just too important to leave it to the rabble, to the unwashed. So that'll need to be fixed too. Well, Mark, you say it's unconstitutional. No. The Supreme Court will say it's just perfectly fine. And that's all that matters, precedent. As Richard Cohen said, with the Constitution, you got to be a witch or a Wiccan or a wacko to follow that, so they won't follow it. You'll be allowed to have family leave when you're pregnant, but you'll be expected to pay back the government for the time you take off and for the free medical services, quote unquote. Any company, every company, will have a new partner called the federal government. I mean, we cannot have these companies outsourcing, and we cannot have them moving abroad. No. The government will own a significant percentage of every company just to make sure the public interest is served and they're not profiteering. You doctors and nurses, if we don't have enough doctors and nurses in the rural areas, then you will be compelled to go to the rural areas. If we don't have enough doctors and citizens in certain areas of the inner city, then you will be compelled to go to the inner city. Either that or you will lose your paychecks, you will lose your income, which of course goes to the government first, so the government can decide what you get. I mean, we've got to perfect this system, this soft tyranny. You got to have skin in it, baby. You've got to sacrifice. There has to be redistribution. Redistribution of wealth, redistribution of health care, redistribution of doctors and nurses and companies, whatever it takes. The appliances in your home, all of those will have to have a government-approved sticker on them, or you're not allowed to use them. You're not allowed to have them. Precious metals? Well, we can't have people hoarding precious metals. It undermines the ability of the government to print money willy-nilly. So we'll take these precious metal companies and we'll put them out of business 30, 40, 50 years from now. We'll just keep holding congressional hearings. And then one day we'll pass a law. I mean, after all, if the Supreme Court upholds the notion that the government can tell you what to buy, like health care, then the government can tell you what to buy, what not to buy, what you get to keep and what you don't get to keep. All in the name of interstate commerce, under the Commerce Clause. Yes, America. America 2060. Think it's just a joke, huh? Well, maybe it's fiction. I don't know what we're going to look like 50 years from now. Maybe we'll slow things down and begin to reverse course. But I do know if we don't, I'm not that far off. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.